Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about at 8:30. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order here. Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Brian, and I am an alcoholic. This is a one-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. That's 301 North Main Street in Doylestown, PA. Food in the fellowship for this group starts every week at 8 o'clock, and our speaker comes on at 8:30. We have a business meeting for this group that meets every Saturday, 7 p.m. to 7:30. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others can benefit from the message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anybody new that would like to introduce themselves? Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic.
Nice, welcome. Anybody else? Everybody? The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with a working knowledge of the 12 steps and who is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. So we got plenty of people willing to sponsor. If you are new, grab one of those people after the meeting. We'd love to talk with you. Are there any announcements from the floor for the good of AA? Anybody got anything going on? Nothing? A couple announcements from this group. This group does have a sister group, which is a big book study meeting. That meets every Thursday, 7:30, just up the street at Salem UCC Church. That's 186 East Court Street in Doylestown, PA. And the coffee for that meeting's on at 6:15, so again, feel free to join us. Show up early. If you want to get involved with service, even better. We do have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those who cannot afford them can put their donations in the jar on the table over there, marked Big Book and CD donations. All CDs are available free of charge. This group, we do have a YouTube channel. We post our speakers on there, so you can follow us there. If you hear a message here that you think somebody else could benefit from, you can refer them to our YouTube channel, and they can find all our speakers on there. We also have a Facebook page. We post happenings on there. We post our upcoming speakers, any events, workshops we might have going on. So it's a good resource to have to stay tied in, as well as other groups will post things they have going on. So good resource to have there and utilize. And with that, I'm going to bring Tom up here. He's going to read our AA Just for Today Prayer of Recovery.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Thomas. I'm an alcoholic. This is the Just for Today Prayer of Recovery. So just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can. I will look as well as I can, dress becomingly, talk low, act courteously, criticize not one bit, not find fault with anything, and not try to improve or regulate anybody but myself. And with that, we have Melissa, right, to read the preamble. And let's give her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Michelle.
And there's the preamble. Okay, the AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other as they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. And with that, I'd like to ask Kara to come up and read the 12 steps.
Good evening, y'all. My name's Kara. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic. Welcome home, everybody. These are the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Number 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Number 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Number 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Number 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Number 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. Number 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do would injure them or others. Number 10, continued to take a personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to prove our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and to carry that, and the power to carry that out. And number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Now Brian will come up to introduce our speaker.
Okay, this group does have a 7th tradition. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, we'll see that the basket makes its way around. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, but we do have expenses, and your contributions do help us to cover the cost of food, rent, big books, workshop CDs, and the likes, so we do appreciate it. There's absolutely no smoking on the church property. We got a good working relationship with the church. We get to use this beautiful facility to have our meeting every week. They really just ask that we keep the premise clean. So just be considerate of that as you're coming and going from the meeting. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now to introduce our speaker for tonight, a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group on loan to us from the In the House Group, and I'll let him explain that one to you. Please help me welcome Eric G.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric G, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm not part of the In the House group. I'm actually homeless, and that was Ron trying to help me out, because without a home group, I'm not in the center AA. I'm not in the middle, right? So my home group just recently closed, and I'm searching. So the next time I see you guys, I have a place to call home, Peter M. always talks about Alcoholics Anonymous being a sacred place, and when I first heard him, he was the first hour speaker I ever heard. I never forget when he said, "Yeah, my dad was a power greater than me," But when I first hear that, I'm like, "Yeah, man," because I'm sober, and life ain't what it used to be. But the longer I'm in AA, this is a life that I live forward and I review in reverse, and I not only watch my evolution, but watch other people evolve as a result of practicing these principles. And I land at a place where, the best feeling I could have in the world is like not getting married, like not getting a new job, not getting a new car. Like the best feeling in the world is watching somebody get better, and I never thought that was like part of the plan. And when you really think about it, with all the history all of us have, right? Probably, if you're anything like me, I'm an idiot. I've been arrested 26 times, I was a horrible dad, a horrible son. And when you think about all that stuff, and if it's a bunch of people in a room like me, if the federal government was watching us gather, they would probably pull out an all-points bulletin. But we hang out for an hour, and when we leave, we better people. So like the proof is in the pudding, So I have a sobriety date of December 6, 2014. Since that date, I ain't thought about using anything stronger than the Motrin, and as a result of experiencing the 12 steps, through a sponsor in the big book, I'm a firm believer that our program is in the big book. Us being in meetings is just evidence that that book works. Not only have I not drank since December 6, 2014, I haven't thought about drinking since December 6, 2014. That's a promise in our book. And I have a sponsor. His name's Al J. Lives in Virginia. I don't know. You know, sponsorship has changed for me. Me and Al, we just like talk about getting old. I know there's a problem when Al says, well, Eric, let me ask you a question. I know we're about to enter into something that I said that just didn't register with him right. And we go through a process where I get clear. You know, I'm a firm believer, you know, that like I really can't see the picture because I'm in the frame, you know. So what I've developed is these friendships of people who help me reframe my picture, you know, because, you know, on page 23 it's really clear. Main problem in alcoholic centers in his mind. So like I process information through like a broken brain and it come out kind of distorted. And like if you start believing the stuff that come out of my brain, you probably would drink too. So I'm thankful for Alcoholics Anonymous. I've already admitted I don't have a home group, but I'm looking for one, and I've been laying my hat in this group, and I am getting old, so I've been hanging out at this group that meets on 6 o'clock on Friday. That's pretty cool for me. And I think that'll be home, and sponsored a lot of men and women. I've been in action in AA since I've been here. I've been a part of starting 6 meetings. 4 of them are still functioning. Put together a couple conferences, you know. But one of the most important things that the guy who took me through the big book told me was that, like, you know, my life wouldn't get any better. I could go through as many steps as I wanted to. We could attend as many meetings as we wanted to. He said, but your life won't get any better until you learn how to set aside what's primarily important to you for another person. So I can tell you that, like, I'm standing at this podium today behind that simple idea. I was just talking to Meredith, you know, I was over there on Wednesday at her home group, and like somebody asked me to come break the book down over there, and then they called me and said they couldn't make it. And it was, if you remember, on Wednesday it was nice out, and I was like, oh, here's my way out. You know, what? And you know, I said everything except I wasn't coming. Well, you know, I'll cash out if they could cover it since you ain't gonna be there. And she never responded. And I laid my head on the pillow, and my pillow felt like a cinder block. And I knew what I needed to do, and I like kicked and moaned, getting in the car, paying $30 for a babysitter. And I drove on over there. And I got there and the miracle happened, man. It was lit. We had great time, man. I ain't wanted to end. And I got in my car, and I don't know if I was riding my car or flying, but it felt good. And it always works out that way for a guy like me. But it wasn't always that way, you know. I'm the guy. I'm definitely the guy, when I start, I can't stop, and when I stop, I start again, whether I want to or not. Circumstances are not enough to keep a guy like me in check. I had a beautiful family, a beautiful wife, and beautiful kids, and, you know, when my drinking over 10 years progressed to a place for her where, you know, and I don't even realize the impact that I have on people until I start making amends. But when I start reviewing my life in reverse, you know, just for her to make a statement like this, you know, my drinking had got so out of control that, like, she had a first step experience with my drinking before I did. And she said to me, she said, I don't care if you go out here and gamble all our money. I don't care if you're out here cheating. I'll chase you for better or worse. She said, but when it comes to this drinking and other stuff, you're going to have to choose. It's me or that stuff. And like, I don't know, man, if you'd have been in our living room or you'd have had some binoculars, it probably looked like a good Lifetime movie, the way I got romantic and put my hand, because I'm in it, I got, this is my everything. And I put my hands around her cheeks and I looked her in her eyes and I meant it with everything in my heart when I said, hey, I don't want to lose y'all. I'm quitting. And in that moment, that was my 100% truth. I'd rather die than take another drink. But the problem with that is when I reach sobriety, I need to drink or I feel like I'm going to die. And like, I look her in the eyes and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And like, I feel like everything in me is going to muster up the willingness, the courage, everything in me, because like I have a beautiful family. I just don't know I suffer from alcoholism and it's untreated. And I would go on and drink and she would go on and leave. And I couldn't figure it out. How could an intelligent guy like me roll the dice and lose everything I just lost? And it would be like situations like that throughout my life where like, how could I allow this to happen, I don't know. Then I reached that place where like, I don't want to drink and I know I'm going to drink and I don't want it to happen. And like, suicide is so romantic, and every time I think about it, it's like ease and comfort come over me. It's like the perfect solution. And I'm not doing it in a selfish way in my mind. See, what happens when I go into self-consultation, it's like just really irrational, but to me it makes sense. Our book talk about how like the alcoholic can't differentiate the true from the false. And when we can't differentiate the true from the false, that means we're in a state of delusion. And I normally experience that when I'm sober, not when I'm drunk. My ideas are pretty clear when I'm drinking. I know what I want to drink, where I want to drink it at, and I don't want no trouble. Simple. Life becomes pretty confusing when I'm sober. And I hang out with guys, when the books start talking about different kind of drinkers, I hang out with guys who resemble me, who drink just like I drink. Everybody in Alcoholics Anonymous ain't the real alcoholic, but anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous can get help. Our book in the foreword to the first edition, it talks about we sure our way of living has its advantages for all. People in Al-Anon, they probably still drinking and smoking, getting free. And like, I hang out with guys, and like on Friday, we got the plan. We going. We were rocking and rolling for the weekend. At least that's the plan. And everybody, the plan is to always stick to the plan unless you me. Right? See, because we rocking and rolling, we going drink for drink and whatever else we doing, and just in passing, I like alcohol and its co-defendants. We rocking and rolling, and then on Sunday, they get strange on me. They start saying really weird stuff. Hey man, I'm gonna start drinking water. I gotta get home, face the wife, get ready for work tomorrow. What? What are you talking about? Work? Who does that? I gotta get ready to get out of here. It's 2 o'clock. At least if I get home by 3, it won't be that bad. I have no intentions on leaving, not because I don't want to. As I look back today, I had a fear of reaching sobriety again. Once I get the flame going, once I put fire on the flame, I got to keep the fire burning. And any thought of going back to a sober mind drives a guy like me crazy, driven with fear, driving my actions, robbing people, robbing stores, anything but sobriety. Because sobriety sucks. But it doesn't look that way. When I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, far beyond a drink, it was like, I need help with life, don't know what I'm doing. I keep crashing this bus. I got to find a way to get my hands off the steering wheel of my life. And when I stay in Alcoholics Anonymous, what I find out is that Alcoholics Anonymous don't offer sobriety. Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps offer freedom. And sobriety is a byproduct of that freedom we offer here. And so, I'm grateful to be here. I'm glad that like somebody sat me down and explained it to me, because I just sat in front of people with more degrees than a thermometer. Like, why do I keep drinking this way? And coming out with another diagnosis, and after trying to get a real answer out of people who go to school and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix people like me, and not being satisfied, so I get into Alcoholics Anonymous, meet a broken spirit who opens up the big book, and we read the doctor's opinion. I finally get words to what I've been trying to figure out my entire alcoholic career. I'm the guy who has the phenomenon of craving. That's me. I have an abnormal reaction to alcohol. My body can't handle alcohol. My mind can't help me defend against the first drink. And beneath all that, I got this dying thirst for God and don't know it. So why wouldn't I be confused? I make rational decisions in every area of my life, but when it comes to this alcohol, man, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out for the life of me. And while I'm trying to figure it out, I'm watching people who love me decompose. I'm watching people who love me while I'm trying to figure this drinking problem out. Sort of like I throw a noose around their neck if you love me. If you love me, I throw a noose around your neck. And the more you love me, the tighter I pull that noose until you love me but wish I was dead. I don't know the impact that I have. It just looks like I'm ruining my life in the beginning, but then I know what I'm doing to other people, and I can't stop. And I don't know what it's like to be them people who can't take a drink to feel better. So I don't think I ever was in a place where I ever blanked my drinking on anything. I put my mother on the hook for the life I had, but I don't think I really blamed her for my drinking. And my mom and them, they went to church on Sunday. A lot of stuff had to happen. My friend talks about, in order for somebody to get better in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's sort of like getting struck by lightning. What's the chance of you getting struck by lightning? You got to be in the right place at the right time, and like the clouds got to line up, and the electric got to hit you the right way. He says the same thing with Alcoholics Anonymous. You got to be in the right place in the right time with the right level of willingness, with the right level of desperation, and the right person coming to pitch to you. And when I get here, I feel like y'all backdooring me when y'all telling me, about this God idea. Now, I know a God, right? But, I don't know if I'm resented or I'm a little confused about what he's supposed to be doing. Because my experience with this God is that, on Sunday we went to church. We were poor. And, I would ask for money all week long. The only day I would get money is on Sunday for church. And then I was instructed that the 5 baskets that came through, make sure you put $1 in each basket. I would wind up broke again. This church thing ain't working for me. It's not. But there was something went on for my mom and them that didn't want to go on for me. My mom and them, they went in there, and you could look into that, and the lights was on, and they would, something was happening for them that wasn't happening for me. Right? And I'm in here, and I'm and it was 4 hours long. I had friends who just did whatever they wanted to do. So they was out playing basketball and football, and I'm sitting here enduring church, so I'm not enjoying it, I'm enduring it, sort of like sobriety killed me now, and, but something happened for my mom and them. And there was never any evidence in my eyes that there was a guy who would do for me. I thought we went to church, plugged in, came home, and the miracles would start happening. I didn't recognize that my mom and them was experiencing the miracles every day in spite of the circumstances that they faced. But they were lit. But by the time I get to y'all, and y'all start selling me this God idea, I'm like, I already know what that's about. Right? And I don't know about you, but like I like to think I'm half intelligent. So the first couple years I felt, well, first, this is how sharp I am. I come in here in the 90s. I don't know that there's a book to 2010. Smart guy. Enduring AA, right? Then I'm sponsoring myself. Because I'm smart. I'm reading a book. I'm not taking actions. I'm just gaining information. You know, it's important that I have information, not even to get better. So when I come in here as an imposter, even in AA, I can have healthy conversation with you, at least until you start talking about step 12. Can't engage no more. But anyway, I always skipped over we the agnostics. I know that, dude. Ain't no need for that. And I don't recognize what separates me from God. Why I can't experience this God. And this guy sits me down and he kind of explains like we the agnostics don't mean like you don't believe in God. I believed in God, I saw the sun. I know, you know, I'm a rational guy. You know, nobody can make the sun and moon exchange places. You know, nobody don't give birds order to chirp at 7 a.m., right? So it's something out here is just not working for me. He said, that's what the definition of agnostic is. You believe in the power out here, you just doubt that power in your own life. And I was on to something. So, what it was like, and what happens is that like when I kind of sit and learn how to take instructions and find this stuff out, I go through the 12 steps and something amazing happens in my life that I can't really explain. But prior to that, I just could not find an answer to drinking. And after a 12-step experience, I found out that I was searching for an answer to sobriety. Because I could tell you, like, you know, the first drink I had, I'll never forget. You know, the first drink I had, I was a young kid, and I could tell you that, like, the first drink did something for me. I knew that I would form a relationship with alcohol for the rest of my life, because prior to taking that first drink, I was in spite of what you might believe, I was a very skinny kid. They used to refer to me as JJ, one bone. They used to say that commercial about the Ethiopians, is that your brothers and sisters? I was really, like, you could really see my ribs when I was a kid. And I always had a problem with that. I always had a problem with the way I looked. I mean, there were times prior to taking a drink that I was so discontented with the way I looked that I was a Hulk fan, that sometimes I would go in my bathroom and look in the mirror as this skinny kid, and I would stay in there and I would continue to look in the mirror until I felt like I was the Incredible Hulk. And then I would leave that bathroom and I felt better. So I walked around with this, on top of the fact that we were poor, and my friend Keith, he wasn't poor. Keith's mom had a Cadillac, his dad had like a truck, and Keith had TVs in his wall. And as I look back today, my mom was always there giving me love and guidance. Keith's parents was never there, right? But in my mind, Keith had so much. And it's funny, my son just said that to me. He said his friend got so much. And his friend mom like trash pickup. Okay. But because that kid get to stay out till 9 o'clock and he has to be in bed by 8 because he has school tomorrow. He's a dope fiend. But anyway. So, you know. So on top of this and me being uncomfortable about how I looked, I was, at a very early age, I'm moving through life with this habit of always comparing myself to other people, to my circumstances, always doing it, and I always find myself losing. And I could tell you at a very early age that, like, I learned how to not sleep based on being self-obsessed with my own ideas about me and the world. And I can never forget we was playing basketball, and I lived in a community where we really they really believed that it took a village to raise a kid. I mean, like, if a neighbor caught you doing something wrong, they could reprimand you. And then if you thought you was going home and telling your parents, you was getting reprimanded the second time for snitching on that neighbor. I say that to say we lived in a tight-knit community, so the old heads, the guys who stood on the corner, they would always tell us not to drink and not to do drugs, right? Even though that's what they were doing. And they meant well, right? They didn't know. Like today, I know that, like, when a person words and actions don't match, believe their actions because that's their truth, right? So while they're saying this, we're like, well, y'all look like y'all having a good time, you know what I mean? So it's intriguing now. You saying don't do it and you look good, we're going to figure this one out, right? And I hung with a bunch of kids, and what I realized is that, how gangs are made is a bunch of kids with the same ideas. And, like, as I look back, all the kids I hung with, we had similar stories being poor. They would, one way or another, they felt like that, something was wrong with their, but we hung out. All of us hung out. And I never forget the one day we caught the old head, and he was drunk, and he had a whole bottle of Thunderbird. Today I realized Thunderbird is one of the only ones that's made without the benefits of grapes. But horrible. But I could tell you, when I took that first drink, it was like I had new blood. It wasn't even about trying to feel like, at the very first drink, I think I went like this. It was more like I felt like I was counted for than drunk. And I knew from that day forward that, like, me and alcohol would have a great relationship. Didn't know that it would turn dangerous, but I just knew that, like, whoa, I'm on to something. I'm not the guy who can remember where I switched. Like, when I crossed over that line that I need help getting back, I just remember, like, chasing it from day one. When, how, where. It wasn't a thing where I ever can really remember, like, trying to have a good time with it. I can remember at a very early age, if there was going to be a basement party, like, I was going to get a couple bottles of Wild Irish Rose prior to going to the party so I could chill when I got to the party. And I can tell you, I wasn't even old enough to drink. But I can remember being there. And I can remember, like, kind of orchestrating it, like, maybe I'll try a little bit of this too so I can leave some of this home. So after the party, I'll be okay when I get home. And then when that was gone, it's only me, my mom, and my brother. My brother, like an A student, and there's me, right? And my mom drank Slits, and we had a drop ceiling. So when that was gone, I can remember, like, cracking her Schaefer's and her Slits and putting the empty cans in the drop ceiling, but thinking that she wouldn't know that they were gone. But I didn't realize that I was drinking as many as I was drinking, that she couldn't help but know that they were gone. And you know what I would say? Oh, I ain't do that. Not me. She had a case. I drink 18 beers. Like, where'd they go? But I don't know I'm drinking like this. I don't know I'm drinking at any and all costs to avoid sobriety. Because as long as I have this alcohol in me, I'm okay. I landed at this place. So I've been arrested 26 times. I've been in jail 26 times. That don't mean I'm a criminal. That might suggest that I have no business committing crimes. Right? But I can say that, like, when I need alcohol, right, whatever needs to happen, I'll make happen. It's just the way it goes at any and all costs. You know, when I get to sobriety, it's at any and all costs. You tell me flip down Broad Street naked if you want to stay sober. If you'd have been at the Eagles parade, I'd have still been flipping. It might have been the strangest thing ever, but I'd have still been flipping, right? But it's the same way, right? And what I don't realize is I'm comparing myself to my friends who can go in and be in at a certain time so that they can go to school so they're not in trouble with their families. I don't realize why this could take place in their life and not in mine. By the time I'm 25, I started a psychiatric career because, you know, I have to be mentally ill the way I drink and can't stop. It has to be mental illness. I like to hang my alcoholism up on anything. So mental illness, and I'm not even searching for pills. I'm really searching for an answer in these professional arenas. Then I push the door open. It's a 25-year-old kid who just got from behind the desk, ain't never been off the steps, and they gonna assess me and tell me what's wrong with me. By the time I open the door, I'm already assessing them and seeing what I can get out of them. So I drink like this, and I'm trying to figure it out. And like my one friend, he kind of would hang out with me. Today I realized he hung out with me after hours and got in trouble and went to rehab. Not because he needed it, but his mom felt like he needed it. But he was doing that stuff just to hang out with me so I wouldn't be alone. That's the kind of friend he was. And the difference between me and him is that, like, when he's free from alcohol, he gets progressively better. I get free from alcohol, I get progressively worse. And I don't get this because we look identical while we going at it. But the difference between me and Mark is that, like, you know, when the judge tell Mark, hey, you come back in front of me and I'm going to send you upstate. That's enough to hold Mark in check. Oh, man, up the mountains with a bunch of men, 3 to 5 years. Oh, I'm not doing that. I have the same ideas. I just don't know. I don't have the power of choice. See, what happens for a guy like me is, you know, I'm the guy who gets 2 years probation in 2001. And in 2010, I'm still trying to get rid of that 2 years probation. You do the math. Right? I have 2 long-standing relationships in my life during my active alcoholism and a couple years after. And that's with my back judge and my probation officer, right? And they don't even want nothing to do with me. My probation officer will call me on Sunday to give me a heads up about a urine Friday and give me the direction that if you stay sober Friday, give me a clean urine. I don't care what you do after that. And I sit back and I say, oh man, he called me on Sunday? He really care about me. You know what? I'm not going to do nothing for him. And I have this high resolve on Monday and Tuesday. Somewhere in between Tuesday and Thursday, the ground started getting shaky for a guy like me. In the face of circumstances, no. And what happens is that, like, in between Wednesday and Friday, I take that drink, and I already told y'all that I'm not a real criminal. I'm not. Like, I'm not like Billy the Kid, catch me if you can. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to try to talk my way out of this. But I'm going to show up. You know? Why am I going to show up? I really don't want to go to jail, so there's a chance that I can get out of it. Let me just try that. You know, I'm not a criminal. Like, I don't want cops running. That's just not my lifestyle. I go down there, I give me urine, it's hotter than the 4th of July. He put me in front of my back judge. My back judge he's howling and screaming, but he sounds like the Charlie Brown teacher. It sounds like he's saying, waka, waka, waka. Why? Because I fade off. I have special abilities. I could be in front of you and fade off. And I fade off. But I fade off to a place where I'm already thinking about who I'm going to write, who I'm going to ask for money, where I'm going to put my personal belongings. Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I drink again because I know I'm going to drink. I got into some trouble in 2014. And I was running in Frankfurt, and I got into some trouble in Frankfurt. And I'm not the guy who go to rehab for help. I go to rehab when I need the rehab to manage my relationship with probation. That's the only time I go. I'm not like, oh, I need help. I'm a ride till the wheels fall off kind of guy. You know what I mean? And I go into rehab. And, I got some trouble. I do what I do, get in there. I don't have a real long shelf life. After the smoke clear, I start planning my escape. I get there, and I'm in there like 3 days. Direct the therapist to contact the probation officer, tell them I'm doing good, yada, yada, yada. Everything's cool. I'm in there like 5 days. I'm trying to plan my escape. I come up with this story. Here's the story. It's around Christmas. It's like the end of November, beginning of December. My mom said if I come to her house right now, like right now, I could stay with her. I ain't been in my mom's house in 5 years. But she said if I come right this minute, that I could stay at her house. And this therapist is looking at me. Now, he's a great therapist, but what I didn't know at the time that I know now is not only was he a great therapist, he was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Not only was he a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, he was a 12-step member. And being a 12-step member, he had assessed me and knew that clinical arena wouldn't be able to provide me anything that I needed. I needed an experience with God, and he knew it. He said, all right. He said, come back. I'll call you. Let me call him, see what I could work out. And by this time, I was familiar with the big book. Never took the actions, but I had retained it. I retained the information in, and I was running groups, and, I was having good conversations with great members, but, I hadn't taken any action. I didn't know that my life will only get better in Alcoholics Anonymous as a result of the actions I took, not about the conversations that I would have, not about the books I read. I only could measure my success in AA by the actions I took, and I didn't know that back then, but he did. Anyway, about 5 o'clock, they called me over the loudspeaker. And I come, show him what's up. He's like, I just got off the phone with your probation officer, and both him and I agree that you should be able to AMA and go to your mom's house. I don't know if he's being smart. I don't know how to take him because he's just like a dry guy. Like he has no expression. You can't read him. He got a poker face, and I'm like, for real? What happened? He said, he said, as long as I could provide him with a diagnosis that I could cut you loose. I said, so what did you tell him? What diagnosis did you give him? He said, I told him you were therapeutically exhausted. I was like, oh, cool. I thought about it for a second, but then my plan was done. And he had told that probation officer in a clinical way, they're like, yo, we can't do nothing for him. We can't. And I would go on to see him a few times, and we had some very interesting conversations. But, I was about to walk out the door, and he said, Mr. Gibson, come back here. And I turned around, and I came back. He said, I want you to do something for me when you get out there. And I was like, well, what's that? He said, when you get out there, I want you to run with some guys who live in the big book. And I was like, live in the big book? You don't be hearing me in group? They don't be the therapist. That be me. I be running the groups. You be hearing them clap? They be clapping for me. He said, I don't want, you misunderstood what I said. I want you to hang out with people who know the big book. I want you to hang out with people who live in it. And I walked out of that treatment center thoroughly confused for the last time. And because I had never experienced the actions in it. I never really hung out with nobody who really was doing the deal. Like, I didn't even know what the deal really was, I was even though I knew the book, I thought AA was just like hanging out and like processing our problems together and feeling better and like playing cards and like going to Dunkin' Donuts and buying Jordans. I don't know what AA is. I'm confused, and I land back in Frankfurt, and for the first time I know that like I'm experiencing the first step. I know that I don't want to drink. I know for a fact that I'm about to drink and the clock's ticking. And I really don't, as I look back on that day, the defenses the mental defenses that I kind of formulated weren't like the ones where like, Eric, you gotta do better. Eric, you're gonna kill yourself. You gotta fight. It wasn't like that. What I was kind of thinking was like, I got this mom that was a social butterfly, and like, I'm slowly watching her decompose as a result of my alcoholism, because she loves her son. I got this daughter who's very popular in this neighborhood, and like her friends see me when I'm actively drinking and out here like doing stuff that active alcoholics do, and she has to be very embarrassed. I mean, on any given day you can see me and my daughter on the corner and you won't know who's the parent, because my daughter will be, giving me the business, and I just don't want it to happen again. But I know that it's going to happen. I'm a guy who I like to, I do whatever's necessary to like get the next drink or the next whatever, because sobriety really sucks for me, man. When I'm sober, man, I feel like I'm suffocating, and that's the truth, man. I feel like anxiety jumping on me. I feel like my lungs are constricted. Like I physically feel sobriety without a solution. I physically feel it. I feel it emotionally. I feel it mentally. And it's not something I can hack. And I continue to come up with the idea where, like, I just got to take myself out. And then, because, it made sense to me that if I took myself out, that, like, I wouldn't hurt my mom, I wouldn't hurt my daughter, and, like, everybody would be okay. And that's probably the most selfish idea that I could come up with. But I got to tell you, at this podium tonight, every time I thought about it, a sense of ease and comfort came over me. I don't suggest anybody try that. It's a horrible idea, but I'm just sharing my experience. But, the universe had a different plan for me. I was praying for the courage to kill myself, and it didn't work out. And that prayer would quickly change to the greatest prayer I ever said in my life: God, please help. And I could tell you in 5 minutes, like, the evidence was there. I go into the Northeast group of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I open the door. This is 5 minutes after the prayer. I'm in the middle of a second step now. It's a guy in there. And me and this guy used to run a recovery house together. And after we put after we shut the house down for the night, he would go, and we shared a room that was, it was like a jungle, this recovery. They called it the jungle. But it was like a sheet that separated our rooms. And like, I would be on this side of the sheet drinking and doing what I was doing, and he would be on that side of the sheet just like using needles. And I would take another drink and another whatever, and I would just look at him and be like, he ain't gonna never get it. And I opened the door to the Northeast group. This dude, 3 years sober, he got a bag of coffee on his shoulder, and he's the coffee bar steward. Them dudes sat me down. I didn't try to push nothing down my throat. Them dudes offered me friendship, fellowship, coffee, and Newports. Big Book talked about God don't make too hard turns for those who seek him. And I can tell you that I met God over Newport Longs and cups of coffee. And I can tell you to this day, I wake up and I meet God over a cup of coffee and Newport shorts now. I do. That's how I start my day. Them guys offer me friendship and fellowship, and they start sharing what had happened to them, because I needed to know what happened to you. And they start talking about having this 12-step experience. They wasn't talking about making millions, going to dances and dinners. They was talking about helping people, God, and this 12-step experience. I'm normally the guy who hook up with the most popular guy in the room and just put him as a sponsor. I'm the guy who also, the first day I'm back in AA, my Facebook post goes up, 8 hours sober, right? And you know them guys, right? They don't last long, but I'm that guy. And on that day, I didn't do either one of those things, because I could tell you what I found out during those periods, and I will find out along this journey, is that, like, when we surrender quietly. It's between us and God. Because on that day, something broke on the inside of me. I knew things would be different. Didn't have an idea how it would be, but I knew something had happened. And I go out of there. It's crazy. Go out of there, and I don't get a sponsor. I'm making meetings, and I'm learning, without me even knowing, I'm learning how to follow the voice of the wind. I'm not going to even call it God at this point. I just know that I'm not following me. I'm asking questions like, what should I do next? And like the answers will come if we ask. The book talk about it, and I'm asking them questions prior to this experience, and like the answers are coming. I landed Trenton Cumberland, first hour speaker meeting I ever been in my life. And at the podium that night, God rest his soul, was a guy who I hung out with. And when I would have 14 to 30 days sober, I would take him to meetings, and I would literally have to lift him up and take him in the meeting. He would be so high. This dude got on a suit and tie. He a couple years sober and is sponsoring a lot of people. And he's sharing his experience about the 12 steps. He's sharing his experience about helping other people and watching people light up. He's sharing his experience about being in service and giving back. And this stuff is attractive. This guy has to turn himself in on Friday for a crime he committed prior to getting sober. He had a gun in New Jersey. And I don't know if you know about sentences in New Jersey, but New Jersey, we do stuff nice and even here. 2 to 4. 3 to 6, 4 to 8. In New Jersey, it could be like 1 to 11, 15 to 55. It's nothing neat about New Jersey. And anyway, he helped so many people that prior to going to his sentencing, they have written the judge. He helped a lot of people. And the judge would abandon like the guidelines for his sentence and tell him something to the effect of, hey, I'm just going to send you upstate to get you a number, but I'm going to bring you right back down and put you in our recovering community because I feel like you'd be more of a benefit there than you would upstate. Where does that happen at? I told you I was arrested 26 times. I started carrying this message inside of the prisons in Philadelphia, and in 2018, the warden gave me Volunteer of the Year, had a banquet and all. And I can tell you in 2025, I work in New Jersey, but I have a second job where I see prisoners inside the prison and kind of help get them geared up and transition back into the community. That's only through the power of God. Hey, I ain't special. I do what the book say do. I stay in the center of AA, and I check all the boxes every day. And as a result of checking all the boxes, stuff just continue to happen that, I'm not confused about. I know it's the power of the universe. And what happens is, so he's about to go into this state penitentiary on Friday. And from the podium that night, he said something that I've never, ever heard in Alcoholics Anonymous. I heard stay away from the first drink. I heard keep making meetings. I heard a lot of stuff, but I never heard what he said. From the podium that night, he said on Friday, I have to turn myself into the state penitentiary for a crime I committed prior to getting sober. But as I stand at this podium tonight, I want you all to know that when I walk into that state penitentiary on Friday, I'll be freer than I ever been in my whole life. And I was like, what? Man, I felt it when he said it. I said, what? I was like, I want some of that. You gotta give me that. That man on his way into the state penitentiary on Friday, that same guy who told me that, we can do as much as you want to add, but until you learn how to set aside what's primarily important to you for another person, your life won't get no better, sat me down that night prior to going to prison and took me through the first 3 steps. By the time he left, I was making amends. This has been such an experience for me, right? That guy would go on to die. He would go on and he passed on, and I was a little tore up about it. I had walked my whole walk with that guy. And I'm just not a guy, I'm the guy who come into the meeting and see step 4 and 5, ain't for me, And I learned some important stuff through that guy, the importance of telling the truth, not the truth as I see it, just telling what I see and people reframing my picture and letting me see the truth for what it is. I used to watch George Jefferson, and I never got it then, but I understand it now. George Jefferson says it's the truth that sets you free. I'm just swallowed up by delusion, not as much. I can get swallowed up by being delusional in sobriety, 8.5 years sober. See, what I found out in sobriety is that a good idea is a good idea until it's not a good idea no more. The problem with that is to start off a good idea and it looks good all the way through. I tell my mom at 8.5 years sober, well, I go into prayer. I understand there was self-consultation today. And I go into prayer and I come out and say, you know what, it's time for my mom to move with me. And I go pitch the idea to my mom's 78. She lived by herself, always did, love her independence. And she's just not like the type of woman when she say no, you just let it go. You know, she's not the type of woman you continue to, she's just not. It's a bad idea. And I pitched the idea to her and she say, nah, I'm fine. Wait a minute, you must ain't hear me, because now she misbehaving. You must ain't hear me, beautiful room. I know you like Amazon, no rent, no bills. Come on. Nah, I'm not coming with you. And I leave out of there, and I'm tight. I'm tight because in my head, I believe she don't want to leave because I'm a single guy. And she probably think I'm a bad, I run. It went, right? And now I'm resenting at her. Not because she don't want to come move with me, but what she think about me, and she never even shared it with me, I formulated it on my own. 8.5 years sober, sponsoring people, speaking. I could slide right into the delusion. Well, why my mom don't want to move with me? And I'm a silent scoring guy, and I don't recognize it until I'm doing it. Like when she's calling me, because I asked her to move with me, and I feel like she's misbehaving. She's calling me, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm saying, not even answering it. I'm just looking at my phone. You ready? I know you have to wait. I'm dealing with Jeremiah right now, and when I'm done, I'll get back to you. And I'm really saying, you really need to think about what I said to you. You need to change your mind and think about what I said to you. Long story short, I reached the tightest place I ever landed at in my sobriety. I start talking about it and got my picture reframed and realized back to that selfish son. Made amends, and me and my mom watched, didn't even know it was a real thing. Wells Fargo was like a cowboy thing. I don't want to watch cowboy, but if this is what you want to do to get peace, I'll sit here and watch cowboy. And we didn't talk after I made the amends, but we were back in that place because just the stuff in the room said that we cool, it was tranquil. And I noticed let that woman be. And so I know a lot of people were affected by my alcoholism, but what happens is I come in and I talk about this message, and I sit guys down, I sit women down, and we talk about the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I talk about my drinking, and I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to be inconvenienced. And while my drinking has affected people, I found out that my sobriety has benefited people, right? I get to see it. And I don't know that, I'm going to meet husbands and wives and kids of people who are out here. But the cool part about it is the spiritual experience kind of comes in reverse, because what happens is when I'm introduced to those siblings, spouses of the people that I'm trying to work with, and they got them questions for me, I've already met them people when I made my amends. So I kind of dig where they're coming from and what they're looking for and how to make that approach as well. But the coolest part is that I get to be this single dad through the power of God, people on AA and the 12-step experience. I got Jeremiah from the hospital, and I've been raising him by myself. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we working. But but what happens is that I go to get his report card. This was right before the school year ended, not this year, but before last year ended. I go get his report card, and what happens is that Jeremiah has seen me in diners. Jeremiah probably more popular in AA than I am, but he's been to a lot of meetings, and But anyway, so I go get his report card, and when I open the door, she tells me that he's a smart kid, all A's, ever since he been in school, all A's, very sharp, socially awake, but then she get to the part where she said, "I've been meaning to talk to you." My head said, "Here come the alcoholism. What's up?" I just knew, because he can do stuff all the time. I'm a parent who's full of fear that he's going to be sitting next to me in 10 years, in some AA meeting. And I'm like, okay, here it comes. You're about to confirm what I've been thinking. And she said, "I've been meaning to talk to you." I said, "What's up?" She was like, "I wanted to tell you something Jeremiah said." I said, "Oh, God." And she said, y'all remember in the beginning of the year, last year, when the Powerball was a lot of money twice? She said that, I went around the room and I asked all the kids if they hit the Powerball, what would they buy with the money? And she said they gave all kind of answers. I buy Batman, I buy my mommy's house, I buy this, I buy that. She said, but on both occasions, Jeremiah gave me the same answer. And that was interesting, and I'm bracing myself, good, bad, or indifference. I'm bracing myself, trust me. And she said, Jeremiah gave me the same answer. I said, well, what did he say? She said, well, all the other kids gave me different answers on both occasions. He gave me the same answer both times. And when I said to Jeremiah, if you hit the Powerball for all that money, what would you do? He said, I would help people. And that's a true testament, coming into these rooms. Because I wasn't going to raise him, man. I was like, man, I'm not raising him, man. I'm trying to be this perfect parent. But, the universe got a different plan. I bring him in, and he see me in diners, and he see me in cars, and he see us in the living room. And I drive down the boulevard, and it's a homeless person with a sign, and I'm talking to him, and get quiet. I look over, he's crying, the kid got empathy. I'm like, oh, man, it's just awesome. And, I would have never, ever imagined that I would have landed at the place that I'm at as a result of practicing these principles, being willing to help people, trusting in God, and being willing to set aside what's primarily important to me for another person. Thanks for listening.
All right, incredible stuff. Again, my name's Brian. I'm an alcoholic. First and foremost, I want to thank Eric for coming out here tonight, delivering an incredible message of hope and recovery to our group here. A couple quick announcements. As was mentioned before the meeting, we have food and fellowship starting at 8 o'clock every week, so feel free to show up early, enjoy the refreshments, the coffee we put it out. If you want to get involved with service, even better, this group is all about service. We have a service commitment every Sunday night in a treatment center, so if you'd be interested in being a part of that, come in, share a couple of minutes of your time with some guys in the treatment center. We'd appreciate that. You can see me, see Ron after the meeting. There's always the meeting after the meeting, so feel free to hang out. Our cleanup's a little bit lighter than usual in this small room here, but if you want to help put some chairs away, even better. It's customary for us to thank our speakers. They do come here on their own time and expense, so we usually do form a line in the front here, and we thank our speakers personally. But thanks to everybody who helped out with the meeting tonight. Thanks to our greeters, our readers, and let's thank our speaker, Eric, one more time. And if you do care to join us, we have a beautiful way of closing. I think we'll just stand in place. Right? We'll just stand in place. We normally circle up, but since we're a little crowded here tonight, we'll just stand in place. And if you do care to join us, we'll close the meeting down with a brief moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholic inside and outside of these rooms, followed by our Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.